Hello everybody. Today I have got a black and green Enchantress for you. This is an Evil Enchantress deck as opposed to the Rabbit Wombat Enchantress that will usually have white and green and perhaps blue and just pump your own creatures and enable the draw engine because of that. This one, however, does some harm to your opponent, sets up some clock perhaps to damage your opponent every turn. And then, as usual, we will see this deck in action. So sorry for the absence of the video, so there have been some unfortunate accidents and I basically lost my voice for quite a while, but now I'm back, so it's more or less good, and I'm happy to resume regular videos here. So, first of all, the mana base. We have got 8 forests, same number of swamps. Then we have got 4 bayous, of course. Then a couple of Moxen in the respective colors. Then, of course, Sol Ring. Well, it's not really that I'm absolutely adamant about including Sol Ring, but it's been usually better than not having it. Couple of Cities of Brass, because life is one of the problematic things for this deck. And I don't want to lose too much life to the cities. We have, of course, the Black Lotus as well. So that's the mana base. And for now, let's take a look at the cards themselves, so how this deck actually works. So yes, of course it is based on the Enchantress. This is the Verduran Enchantress, the only Enchantress that exists in All-Skull Magic. Really beautiful card. And it actually gave birth to the whole archetype, as you know. So 0-2, yes, I would have preferred, of course, slightly more toughness, perhaps, or, I don't know, Shroud, like we have, but, I mean, like we have with our Gothian Enchantress in Primordial, but at the same time, maybe it's okay, because at least you can enchant herself, and even in this deck, even though we mostly have some negative enchantments, we can also do that. So yeah, the most beautiful thing about this card is that while it is in play, you may immediately draw a card from your library each time you cast an enchantment. So what's important here is that even if that enchantment gets countered, you still draw your card, and if you have got 2 enchantresses in play, then you draw 2 cards, and 3 enchantresses, 3 cards, and it can get absolutely crazy. You get tremendous card advantage. But of course, you probably understand what the problem is in the modern meta game, where everybody has got some form of removal, at least in the main deck as well. The problem, of course, is that this is the only creature in the whole deck, and obviously this Enchantress becomes the removal magnet. And we will see how this will actually work in the games that we play in Forge. But of course, it's not our only hope. So technically we can play without the Enchantress herself. But of course I decided to include it because, well, Enchantress without Enchantress, the Enchantress deck without Enchantress would be really weird. Even though I have seen cases like that. Okay, so yeah, as I have said, we focus on some cards that deal damage to our opponent over time, and one of these cards is Wanderlust, so 3 damage. Really like the art here. It's a card that you don't see every day, but it's nice, 1 damage to creature's controller during upkeep. So for 3 mana, I think it's a fair deal. Next, we have got Sylvan Library, of course. I mean, it's an auto-include green card. Really powerful one, but here we want to have it also because it is an enchantment. So 3 copies. Next we have got Arborea. Now Arborea is not a card that you would see very often in the Enchantress decks, but here I just wanted to include that because let's see how it works. So here's what it says. If a player doesn't cast a spell or put a card into play on his or her turn, no creatures may attack that player until after his or her next turn. So basically what it is saying is that if you don't cast any spells and don't put any permanents into play, by the way, you can put tokens, so for example using the Hive would be possible, and also you can activate any kind of abilities that you've got, but again you cannot cast spells. Then you will be not attackable. So if it's a word, right, you can't be attacked. So it's like mode in some way, but works for all kinds of creatures. Also, it is an enchant world, which is quite important. We'll get to that later. So yeah, it is actually quite a nice card that can keep our opponent's creatures at bay. And in any case, you understand that we don't need to attack because, well, we have no attackers in this deck at all. So sometimes it can be quite powerful, can hold our opponent for several turns, and sometimes that's all we need. Next we have the second green auto-include card. This is of course Regrowth, this very nice foreign black bordered French card. Next we have got, again, foreign black bordered Warp Artifact, so 3 copies this time. Warp Artifact only costs 2 mana, it's double black, and it's pretty much the same thing as Wanderlust, but for the artifact. And again, you understand that most decks nowadays have artifacts, even if it's just Soul Ring or some Mox or the book. So yeah, you can bet that your opponent will have some artifacts. Next we have got Oubliette, only 1 copy, so it's not a card I would bet on, but I absolutely love it. It's a lovely card in terms of flavor. It's Arabian Nights after all. So essentially what it says, and there has been this errata that says that eventually this creature phases out, and then as soon as Oubliette is destroyed, it gets back. So yeah, that's the thing about it. Again, just temporary removal, so to say. Then we have got this glorious card. This is probably the star of this deck, because as you have noticed, most of these cards, so again, we've got Warp Artifact, Wanderlust, and also Cursed Land. They will only deal damage to our opponent once per turn, but with Underworld Dreams, sometimes our opponent will get to have damage from this more than once per turn, because maybe your opponent has Ancestral Recall, maybe drawing of the book or something else, and you know, also a card that stops Time Twister or Wheel of Fortune. So it's a nice thing to have, and we'll see how it works. But in the play testing sessions I had, this was one of the best win conditions that I had. And then, as I said, we have got this Cursed Land. So of course, if not every deck perhaps has creatures and not every deck has artifacts, then you can bet that all decks have lands. So lands is something that we will curse. That's why we have 4 copies. Beautiful art here by Jesper Murphus himself. And yeah, the reason why it costs 4 mana as opposed to 2 or 3, that's because, again, it is something that is guaranteed to be effective. And next we have got this Demonic Torment card. So creature deals no damage during combat and cannot attack. So yeah, it's a bit on the expensive side, because 3 mana for that. And by the way, I've just noticed that there is this weird creature torturing somebody, some kind of a nightmare. So yeah, Anson Maddox really knows how to draw some horror cards. And yeah, so that's Demonic Torment, one of the few ways of interacting with creatures in this deck. Another one is the Abyss. So the Abyss is also an Enchant World card, so it acts as a counterpart to this one, because both of them cannot be in play at the same time. But you all know that the Abyss is very powerful, so destroys pretty much everything. The problem is that we cannot deal with Mishra using the Abyss and can deal with artifact creatures, so there is that. And finally we have got this card, and you know, I really was tempted to use 2 copies, but it never ever worked because it's a late game card mostly. But again, if you have got a ton of enchantments and let's say your opponent starts to counter them aggressively or perhaps destroying them and so on and so forth, then you've got Skull of Worm, and for 5 mana, which is a lot. But again, here we have got the Enchantress, We have got this draw engine, we have got a lot of land, so imagine that's the case. So for 5 mana you can bring an enchantment from graveyard into your hand, then cast it, draw off Enchantress, and go near infinite. But this is of course what happens in Magical Christmas Land, and I'm not entirely sure that these are the games we're going to see. But in any case, here is the Evil Enchantress deck, and let's take a look at the games that we've got with it now. Before we take a look at the games, I would like to remind you that we have got 2 patrons now. This is certainly a great beginning because we are moving forward our goal of 10 patrons before the 1st of October. So our current rank is 2 out of 10, which is Harlon Minotaur, who has, of course, 2 power, as you understand. So the road from Cavil to Leviathan is 20% complete, but 80% to go. Patreon.com/mtg_Phil if you want to support the channel. There are 2 options. So you can just support the channel, think of it as a tip jar. And this will motivate me, this will help me create videos more frequently and dedicate a bit more time to editing and producing content. And if you want to have a custom video based on your request, then you have got the rare tier. But in any case, whether you support me on Patreon or not, I definitely appreciate it. And I would like to thank our supporters Cam and Plague Doctor. We're going to start with a deck that is generally not too hard to defeat because number 1, AI is not that good at playing control, and number 2 is that we don't have so many immediate threats as we often do, so we might get a chance to develop our board a little bit. And yeah, it's always a bummer when your opponent does a time twister and you had that hand which was actually quite good. But my usual go-to strategy will be casting this clock style cards as soon as we can. So just setting some kind of a timer to damage our opponent, but of course this will at least work for getting that counter spell or a disenchant from our opponent. And here's Disrupting Scepter. Not very game-changing, I would say, here, because we've got the library. And yeah, we will just get rid of Demonic Torment, which doesn't really bother us. So, oh, forgot to activate the library. Or no, okay, I can still do that. Yeah, I will do that. And I will actually pay 8 life. Not sure whether it's a good call, we'll see. So far it's a little bit empty. And here is a time twister again. Again, the question is who gets a better deal out of it. Okay. So will I draw? Yes, I will draw. I will just get the card. Okay, what will it be? Yeah, probably, since I already have 2 enchantresses, I will not pay more life. Okay, so get 1 enchantress, get 2nd enchantress. Okay, not a bad start, as I told you. And yeah, we can cast my favorite Underworld Dreams here. Okay. So far looks good, really. And this one doesn't really bother us at all, because we just have so much card advantage. And okay, 1 enchantress, not a big deal. We lost that, but we have got... Okay, I really don't want the City of Brass, because I will just cast another enchantress. I will get many cards again. So here is Swords. That's okay. This is exactly what I told you about. When you have got only 1 creature in your deck, 4 copies, then you can be sure that it's going to get bombarded with removal. Okay, so yeah, now we have got 2 libraries. It's of course mostly redundant. So yeah, I think we will get this. Okay. So okay, we will not, of course, activate the second time. And okay, here is Demonic Torment. Withdraw of that Demonic Torment. Okay, here it is. And I think we can actually use the second copy. Or should we use Wanderlust? Okay, we will use Wanderlust. Okay. And why not get Arborea as well? Well, that's certainly possible. You know, we gotta use the Enchantress while we still can, because next turn we can have another Swords to Plowshares from our opponent. And okay, discards a card. Wait, what was that? Destroy Arborea. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that, you know, in the mobile version, the card will usually just stay here, as opposed to being in this zone and just attached using the laser arrow. I don't know if there is a way to do something about it, to change how it is displayed, but it's not really that I care, because it's fine the way it is. Alright, so regrowth. Should we get a regrowth? Yeah, I think we should get a regrowth. But at the same time, Warp Artifact is nice. Okay, so yeah, this is what we're going to do. Select order, put first. So first means to the bottom or to the top of the deck? Okay, let's... Alright. Or okay, it's just the order that we're putting them in. So if we put it first, then City of Brass is going to be on top. So yeah, technically it should be like this. We'll see now, we'll see. Okay. So if my logic is correct, then here's what we're going to do. And we are going to draw regrowth, I believe. So going to enchant that. Ah, no, it's the other way around. Okay, I see now. So yeah, that's what I told you about. Even though it did get countered, we still get the card. And yeah, I still really would like to get it right away. So, okay. So regrowth. Regrowth on Warp Artifact. Okay. And use the said Warp Artifact on Disrupting Scepter. Draw one more card. Okay, looks good, I think. And meanwhile, our opponent only has 3 life. And 0. Okay, so exactly as I intended. This is a terrible hand, but I will still keep it, because there is a little bit of a handicap. We have to understand that our opponent is not that good at playing this kind of a deck. Oh, this Thunder looks gorgeous, actually. These high-res scans, they really change a lot of things. I really like it much more than any kind of Magic Arena or whatever you have. You know, in Chandelar we also had some nice representation of cards, but these were of course pretty low resolution. Again, remember, it was more than 25 years ago, so that goes without saying. And yeah, should we play Arborea? We can try that. Skull of Worm is very nice. Okay, so let's play Skull of Worm then. Alright. Okay, so 3 copies of Arborea. Yeah, so this was just to bait the counter spell, as you can see. Okay, and here's the tome from our opponent. But behold, Skull of Worm in action. We just got the Arborea card to mess with our opponent. And okay, activates the tome. So as you can see, it's not going very well. Our opponent has used City of Brass a lot. And we are just enjoying this clock that is Warp Artifact. Okay, so here is Sarah Angel, which we don't care about at all, because we've got Arborea. And I think we can cast Enchantress then Wanderlust to draw off Enchantress. Okay, here it is. And next I even think we can cast Arborea, sacrificing the Lotus again to draw that extra card, because next turn our opponent taps 6 cards in hand. You can be pretty much sure that there will be that Swords to Plowshares. But we still drew several cards of the Enchantress, so that's good. Yeah, so this is exactly what I told you about. Gotta enjoy it while you still can. Okay, so yeah, some disruption is going on. Again, Arborea was not active, as you can see. Now it will be active. So here is the second Warp artifact from me. And yeah, just in case, I will get another Arborea here. So it's not that I need it. So yes, our opponent... Ooh, okay, so that's Mirror Universe. Now that's interesting. Let's see what we get. Okay, so our opponent gets 3 damage every turn, and yeah, we have to be careful here. So the question is, will our opponent be able to use Mirror Universe properly? Well, actually these triggers and the order in which events are resolved, it always confuses me a little bit, so not going to assume anything. So maybe our opponent will lose, or maybe our opponent will be able to switch life totals. We'll see now. Okay, so how does it work? Let's see. Okay, yeah, so now we are at 2 life. Yeah, it looks pretty scary. It looks pretty scary, as you can see. But still, it's nothing really terrible, because we do have Arborea. And our opponent, of course, can have Disenchant and then attack us for lethal, because we only have 2 life. But, okay, it looks like we survived, because we will discard, of course. And, okay, so 3 life, 3 damage to our opponent. Okay, just casting Cursed Land to boot, and 4 damage to our opponent now. And we won. Yeah, so quite predictable here. Again, AI is not that good at playing control. That's number 1. And number 2, of course, doesn't have a lot of threats. Okay, so let's play against Lion Dib, which will be much more problematic here, because there's a ton of creatures. We don't have enough removal for each of them. And, okay. Alright, so that's already 5 damage every turn. And we only have just a little bit of removal. Well, actually, for now we do have enough removal. But it's not going to last. Okay, we'll cast the Enchantress. Let's see how it works. Oh, of course, there is the Bolt, I forgot. So this deck has a ton of removal. Okay, and also Serenity Befried. Serenity Befried, of course, is very nice to... What? Okay. Do we have a Disenchant? I mean, does our opponent have a Disenchant? We gotta act fast, because how much damage are we guessing? We're guessing 6 damage every turn. So we only have 2 turns left. Okay, I will try Arborea. Let's just hope that our opponent doesn't have Disenchant. Okay, and Disintegrate, but we're still alive, Okay, but now I cannot do anything. And our opponent also has, let us not forget, okay, so Arborea is gone, as you can see. Alright, so as just a last effort thing, we can try to cast Demonic Torment on the Ifrit. And that's all. Don't have mana for anything else. Okay. Right. Yeah, it's always a very tough match. Okay, I should have chosen to play rather than draw, but okay. Yeah, so our opponent has all of the answers to what we have, but it's not that there are many things that we can do against this deck, so it's a losing game pretty much. I mean, technically we can win if our opponent gets very unlucky, but that's also not something that happens very often. Okay, So there is Underworld Dreams, and yeah, we are getting pummeled, unfortunately. This one will probably get sorted or just bolted. What will it be? Okay, so here's the bolt. And okay, here's the bolt for us. And we cannot even wait until our Arbor is activated because, yeah, okay, and also there's a lot of direct damage. So yeah, that was quite predictable. Nonetheless, what should we play against? Let's also try... okay, so why not this 4-color control deck? Okay. Again, it's not really that much of a control deck, to be honest with you. It's more of a zoo deck, I think, as far as I remember, which also makes it a tough matchup for us, but let's try nonetheless. Okay, so you know, even one creature can do a ton of damage to us, sadly. Okay. Yeah, so should we try to get greedy? But I think we'll get a bolt real soon. Okay. Here's the dervish. Maybe being greedy actually worked here. Because we will start with Demonic Torment. Yeah, sadly this one has protection from black. But on the other hand, we will keep blocking with Enchantress, so it will not be active. Okay, so that's actually a good thing, I guess. Alright then, let's try that, Who knows? Okay, not even attacking. So our Enchantress defense is actually working. Guess what? So yeah, that extra point of toughness, which seems weird, actually did something. Okay then, so what should we get? We should get the Enchantress, there is no question about it. I've never played against this deck, actually, with the Enchantress deck. And so far it looks good. So we have got 1, 2, 3. And we can cast our favorite Underworld Dreams. Okay, getting 2 cards of that. And also the Lotus. Alright then. But okay, here is the inevitable bolt. But at least one Enchantress is still alive. And we also get a replacement. So that's nice. So what should we do? Well, we should get the enchantment. Okay, so I have to be careful now. So the Enchantress. Okay, Swamp and Enchantress. So technically I will top deck the Enchantress now after I cast Cursed Land. If I got that right, but probably I didn't. So it's all very confusing. Okay, do this. And okay, so I was right. The logic here is correct, actually. Okay, so we actually have a card ape of our own, virtually speaking, because we have got 2 damage that is dealt to our opponent. I wonder what's in our opponent's hand, actually, because it says that opponent cannot really play Channel, I think. Was it Channel? I forgot. So yeah, maybe there are a couple of cards that are not exactly dead in our opponent's hand, but he's just not able to use them properly, which is again a little bit unfair. That's why I do not mulligan and usually choose to draw rather than play first. So again, just to give our opponent a little bit of handicap here, because this is AI, you know. All right. So, okay. Okay. So things are good now. Cast Underworld Dreams, get these 2 cards. Even though there are no enchantments. Okay, did we already drop a land? Yes. Here is Soul Ring. Yeah, with so much mana, you would probably like to have something else. Okay, Time Walk just means more damage. 3 damage now. to our opponent. And no creatures, no creatures. Maybe this is just being unlucky. I don't know why that happened. Okay. Still, I will not risk it, because who knows what kind of direct damage our opponent has. I don't want to risk it and bring my life total any lower, because if I get to 7 life, that's already quite risky. Okay, so with regrowth, we can get one more Enchantress. And okay, we can actually start getting crazy here. So cast Oubliette, that's 3 cards for us. So basically every enchantment we cast now is an Ancestral Recall, right? So with Oubliette, we will destroy Curd Ape. Well, not destroy, but phase out. Okay, that is phased out now. Okay. And yeah, Sylvan Library, just for the sake of getting 3 cards. And none of them is actually anything that can help us draw. But okay, why not get extra crazy? Sacrificing the Lotus. Okay, now we're talking, Okay. So, yeah, have to discard now, right? So I'll discard one of the lands, still have a ton of them. Just want to see how much damage we can deal. And, okay, we'll not draw cards of library, because now we have this amazing draw engine ourselves. And, okay, so Wanderlust. Yeah, okay, we can cast Wanderlust because it's protection from black. And we can also do Warp Artifact. This is just crazy. Am I going to run out of cards? Okay, still have 20 cards to go. And one more Wanderlust, all right. This is insane. This is just insane. And this is almost going infinite, you know. Okay. And all right, so I cannot cast Cursed Land because I'm out of mana. But let's just see how much stuff we have. So, okay, 3 damage from Underworld Dreams, 4 damage, Cursed Land, 5, 6, 2 copies of Wanderlust, and the 7 from Warp Artifact. So this is what Evil Enchantress is capable of. And of course, we will discard all of this stuff. This is not even relevant anymore. Okay, then. So, okay, all of this super nice damage here. All right. So let's try one more, because I feel that our opponent was just not lucky and, you know, something happened, shouldn't have happened. Because this deck is usually expected to have more creatures, more aggression, you know. But I don't know what's happening there, to be honest with you. Okay, so 2 damage from me every turn now. Okay, so here's the Dervish. But we do have Arborea, so I think we got lucky again. We will cast Arborea of Lotus. And okay, here's one more mana. And if everything goes on like this, we are going to win pretty soon. We're not going to cast anything. Our opponent gets 3 damage every turn. And okay, we're very close to winning, just going to fast forward basically. And yeah, here we won. All right, so there it is. There is Evil Enchantress. If you have built any kind of Enchantress, just let me know how it went. And we will have another Enchantress, the good Enchantress, as I said, with Rabbit Wombat. All of this nice but somewhat inefficient enchant creatures cards, these auras that we all like. So look forward to that, please. And thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye.